Hey, this is Brendan. I'm calling from San Diego. I guess I just wanted to ask, like, this is kind of leaking over from a conversation yesterday, but I'm just bumming about kind of the Kamala appeal to the Republicans out there, and I just wanted. There's just like this contradiction in my head about that because she had all this like support when she was announced as the new candidate, and I feel like that excitement. I mean, this is like I guess a question for you guys, but I feel like that excitement's out of like a novelty, out of just a break out of this like just total rigidity and complete just like kind of like nonsense, like bare bones, like elitist strategy or whatever. But
yeah, I think a lot of women were excited too. I mean, myself included. I think she's a better candidate than Hillary Clinton as the other female representative of the Democratic Party. But like, yeah, I think what you're seeing is designed literally not to appeal to anybody that might be on the left or even in the base of the Democratic Party. They had as I said yesterday, they had a pre-convention strategy, which was more talk about price gouging, more meetings with unions, the selection of Tim Walz, the excitement that surrounded that. That's when she was touting some of the things that were like, oh, okay. Then there's the post-convention strategy. Her speech marked it. I'm a cop. I prosecute transnational criminal organizations. I'm going to be giving out tax credits for new businesses, et cetera. And that's been a continued theme for the past month or so. And you even saw it reflected in what Walz did and did not say during that VP debate. Like, this is the same people that ran Biden's campaign that is running her campaign. I don't know what it indicates about her ideology, to be honest with you. I think, Sam has described Biden as a cipher for the Democratic Party. And I agree with him to a certain extent, I guess, in how it reflected in like the way he was responsive to the more Warren and Bernie style politics domestically than maybe we anticipated going into his term. But I actually think she's more of a cipher. Like, I think she really is just like gonna be a standard Democrat. And for me, that's enough to vote for her. It may not be the same for other people. But that's how I view this. It's meant, they're appealing to a different constituency right now. And whether that pays off, it remains to be seen.
Right. I guess just like my only like question to that, like there, if like kind of both parties are going to be going after like this sliver of people in the middle, and I mean, at least like this is just totally my random like impression that those people are more likely, I guess, to go to Trump, but I don't know. And also, like, should she maybe just be trying to more kindle that enthusiasm for, I mean, maybe it's too late now, but should she now be trying to kindle that original enthusiasm by being more left?
That's not the candidate she is, nor is this the kind of campaign that would be that. She's not, this isn't a movement campaign, right? Like, we would wish that it was, but it's not. And I think that's been clear from the beginning. It's a standard Democratic Party campaign. They're running it in a fairly standard way. And that's all you should expect from it, honestly.
Yeah, I think that, and I'm sort of on record as being doomer about it, but there's a chance that this works. It worked for Biden, and Kamala could win this, and that's how they want to win. Like, they would love to win by basically taking over what they understand as the contested center and more marginalizing the Republicans as a right-wing party. It's dangerous because the Republicans don't have a lot of place to go then. If they're losing goddamn Cheneys and people like that, they're moving to the right on stuff. And so I think it's a horrible dynamic ultimately. And But I don't necessarily think it's. I do, as I said yesterday, think it'd be easier to win by mobilizing people who are mobilizable. But I also think taking this over is a plausible way. I think it's extremely risky and could be catastrophic and could lead to a Republican. But look what Labour did in the UK, right? Like that worked for them. I don't know how long it's going to work for them now, but they got exactly what they wanted. And there's a lot of Democrats who look over at Keir Starmer, including the Harris campaign, who invited Starmer people over, that they want exactly that. You marginalize the left out of existence, you take over the center, and then the right sort of destroys their credibility and you walk into power.
My quibble with that would just be like, I think the Walz pick was at least a gesture towards the base. You could be cynical and say that it's an attempt to neutralize or pacify the base without doing anything legitimate. But I'm not sure I'm ready to write that check yet. So we have to wait and see. I think the circumstances of this race are extremely unique. I think that the Democrats have not seen any reason to do the appeals that we describe based on the negative partisanship that Donald Trump has engendered. And they can't continue this strategy in a post-Trump world. I think that's immensely clear. But can they win this way? I'm optimistic about it, even though I know that it's not the campaign that I would like. It's also, I think, just almost like what was gonna happen based on Biden staying in this long, her basically just taking over the campaign infrastructure and moving forward from that point. It's a very similar campaign, unfortunately. It's just that Harris doesn't have her brain melting out of her ears. And also, I don't think is like an old school racist who would eulogize Strom Thurmond. So with that, I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, yep. Sorry for if you guys are getting tired of this. This thread, but anyway,
tired of the conditions that prompt it.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, I get why people were excited too. Sorry to interrupt you, Brendan.
No problem.
But I get why people were excited because after that first debate, people were really depressed. Biden did really, really poorly, and they've largely been able to sweep the circumstances that led to that under the rug. And symbolically, that shift from Biden to Kamala Harris was very powerful, very powerful. It was very motivating. And then immediately they kind of deflated a portion of the electorate that was excited about that hopes by tracking to the right on any number of issues like fracking, like the climate, et cetera, to disabuse them of any hopes. And partially, I think they feel like they can get away with that because of how misogynist, just like how rankly misogynist the Republican Party has gotten in the past 4 or 5 years, that they feel as though any leftist, any person whose primary reason for voting for the Democrats is not lesser evilism, but like the climate or Israel's genocide of Palestinians, they can lose those people and pick up like the women in the suburbs, the women in Pennsylvania suburbs. And that's what they're expecting. And they're letting the Republicans do a lot of the work in ruining their own chances of winning by, bringing JD Vance out there. And you can see that in the way that Trump has had to track and be very clear, even if he is lying, that he would not sign a federal abortion ban. And I think that's also why they haven't put Tim Walz out there as much as they used to, because it prevents them from having to make any really, really coherent or specific promises about the way they're going to legislate, and instead just continue to gesture towards, a better policy agenda than Donald Trump or Joe Biden. But I mean, I think Em was right. It's clear that what they're hoping for is that the Republicans will continue to self-destruct by following Trump and some of the worst elements of their party down this incredibly divisive, misogynistic line of politics.
Well, they're competing for the same voters to that point, and you heard that in the VP debate. JD Vance being all nice all of a sudden and saying, I agree with Kamala on this. I mean, and that's why Walz was defanged too. Like, this is conventional wisdom in terms of the voters that they're targeting with both campaigns. And I don't really expect that much differently out of a standard Democratic Party campaign. I wasn't expecting anything much differently. Yeah. It's frustrating, but we don't have a movement campaign or a movement candidate, so we're gonna get a standard Democratic campaign. And for me,
It's not even a movement.
yeah, well, I mean, agreed, right? It's just negative partisanship and broadly people thinking the Democrats are more palatable than the Republicans.
Yeah.
And that's fine for me to buy for another 4 years and not put Donald Trump in office. And I think Harris is an improvement on Biden. And that's basically it. That's all the promise that I'm going to provide for the audience in this regard.
And a lot of this is too because of like the types of voters that are emphasized at this time in the election, like these undecided swing voters in swing states by nature of how we do our elections.
It's hyper targeted towards those very like tens of thousands of voters in just like
Exactly.
a few states. And that's a big problem with our system.
Yeah, the people who and that incentivizes both candidates to pretend as though there's very little daylight between them. And of course, that's a decision because you could also incentivize non-voters and people who have been totally demoralized from voting for any number of specific policy reasons or lack of material improvements in their life that they've seen over the past 20 years. But focusing on undecided voters allows Democrats to specifically track to the right in a way that they, ultimately just want to as well. Because, I mean, I have no respect for undecided voters, but if you position them as the people who really matter, it really allows you to make a practical argument, even if it's unreasonable, but a practical argument for why you have to be more and more moderate.
Is that tease that out okay for you, Brendan?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just wishing she's. I think it's just in my head. I just want to. I just have this like conviction. I just want to, like that. I just keep when I argue with my parents about this. I just want to be like. I mean, if she was Bernie, it would be awesome. But
if she was, but
Which side are your parents on?
Right. My parents are super Biden folks.
yeah.
Yeah, they're just Biden lovers.
And they're kind of
Gun lovers
skeptical
for
of
sure.
Kamala then?
Oh, no, they love Kamala,
Oh, okay.
too.
They're just trying to get them to see your perspective. The last thing I'll say on this is like, I maintain that Bernie had a better chance to win in 2016 than he did in 2020, even if he was the nominee in 2020, because of the mood of the country. 2016 was a change election. People wanted to throw a brick through the window, and Trump was a great way to do that. And Hillary was uniquely unpopular. 2020, the conditions favored Biden and a more conservative Democrat because of negative partisanship towards Trump and because of the COVID pandemic and all the chaos that he wrought. Bernie still could have won, but I still thought the conditions in 2016 were more favorable to him winning. In 2024, I think a standard Democrat has pretty good conditions and fundamentals to win in this situation, similar to 2020. So that's my assessment of things, but appreciate the call, Brendan.
Oh, yeah. Love you guys. Yeah, have a good one.
Thanks. You too.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.